All right, hello people, and welcome back. We're carrying on with our look through Dr. Dave Regis's free ebook, and that's 10 Steps to Learning Chess Tactics for Beginners. So we are halfway through, or part of the way through, looking at checkmating uncastled kings. 9 more miniature games for you today on that. So without further ado, our first game is over in 8 moves. It's Greco, can't remember his first name. We've had this discussion before. I think it's like Giacomo, something like that. But Greco against a no-name, unnamed opponent, 1801. Here we go. E4, E5, Knight F3, Queen F6. The McConnell defense is not good. Bishop to C4, Queen to G6. So that looks, does it not, as though Black is forking 2 pawns. White just castles, Black takes on E4. So Black is now a pawn up. But look at the position. The white king is safe. White has 2 pieces developed. And in spite of being a pawn down, the computer is actually saying nearly +4 advantage white. White's next move, bishop takes with check. King E7 is played. You can't take the bishop. Why can't you take the bishop? Have a quick pause if you want to work it out. Knight to G5 check also attacks the queen. So king takes bishop would actually lose you your queen. So king to E7 was played, and now rook to E1. Queen F4, so that's attacking the queen and also lining the rook up on the same line as the king. So queen gets out of the way, queen to F4. Rook takes E5. And king to D8, and rook E8 is mate. I believe after king takes bishop in this position, D4, opening up an attack from the bishop to the queen is incredibly unpleasant. In fact, let's just pop the lines on and see. I must be right because it's still saying +7, +8. Yeah, the computer says the best move for Black in this position is just to play queen takes bishop and give your queen up. But if Black was to try to keep the queen, let's say queen to G4, then that's not going to work because knight here is check. It also is a discovered attack against the queen. And so the best you can do is queen takes knight, bishop takes queen, and you're a queen down anyway. So that's a pretty brutal first game, is it not? Okay, let's get on to our second one. Okay, our second game is between 2 unnamed players, and again, the year is 1801. So as far as I know, 1801. So here we go, E4, E5. Knight F3, Queen F6. On McConnell defense again. Okay. C3 from white, so presumably wanting to play D4. Bishop C5 from black. Oh, and D4. Bishop to B6. Bishop to E3. D6. Takes. Bishop to G5. Oh, okay. Well, this position is relatively level if Black plays the right next move. So presumably Queen D6 is correct. Yeah, computer's not unhappy with that. But Black actually plays here and gets checkmated on D8. That particular pattern comes up sometimes with a rook on D8 as well. So it's worth remembering that. The checkmate on D8 with a bishop here. Somewhat unpleasant. Okay, well, that was a easy one, nothing dramatic there. Okay, game 3, we're in 1981, Dayton, Ohio for a tournament, and we've got Shirley against Elena. That's the surnames of the players. So let's see how this one goes. And we have E4 and E5. We have Knight F3 and Knight to C6. We have bishop to C4 and knight to F6, and we have knight G5. Are we going to get the fried liver attack? I think we probably are. D5, E takes D5. Oh, and Black goes for knight takes. So it is the fried liver attack. Ouch. Knight takes F7 and king takes F7. So we've seen this before. Queen to F3 is forking the king and the knight, and the bishop attacks the knight as well. Black has to play king to E6 here. It's the only plausible move, but in this game the king went to G8, and you'll see the bar goes whoosh right to the top. Checkmate in 3 moves. I could say pause it if you want to try and find it. It's not the most difficult one in the world, but why not? Carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And this is a deadly diagonal. Queen takes queen takes, so that's check, queen takes, bishop takes, and there's only one way to block this. Bishop in the way, and that is now checkmate. The king has actually been epauletted by all the pieces around it and can't get off the diagonal. So that is pretty unpleasant. Next game is going to be quite a similar one. This time black is going to win with much the same kind of idea. So we'll flip the board here, and we are 1988 de Groot against Bosma. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight to c6, knight to c3, bishop to c5. Normal enough stuff so far. Knight takes e5. And we've seen this before. If knight takes, then pawn comes here to fork the two minor pieces, and the material can be regained. But black plays bishop takes f2 instead. King takes f2, knight takes e5. So material level, but the white king has already moved and therefore might be in danger. Having said that, position's okay. Tiny advantage to white, says the computer, because after d4, d4 is okay. Again, nice big center. Queen to f6 by black is check. Absolutely fine so far. King to g1. Computer still likes the white position here. Okay, all fine. Knight to e7 is played in the game. Now this sets up a little trap, and it's a trap that white falls for. Pawn takes knight, and now queen to b6. And there's going to be a checkmate on this diagonal. The only thing that white can do is put pieces in the way, queen in the way, bishop in the way, and there's the checkmate. So exactly the same pattern really as in the last game, but this time the black queen doing the damage. Okay, our next game is Wall. If you've been watching the whole series, this guy Wall, loads of his games seem to be in Dr. Dave's book, and this one is 1960, excuse me, 1968 against no name. We have no name, so let's see how this goes. And e4, e5, knight to f3, excuse me, and knight to c6, bishop to c4, knight to f6, knight to g5, and knight takes e4. Okay, so this is going to be pretty sharp stuff. Bishop takes f7, king to e7, knight takes e4, king takes f7, queen to f3, and I've got a funny feeling that king to g8 might be a bit terminal. Let's have a look. So it currently says 0.3, so it's level. I think king g8, this is the next move. Yeah, I thought so. And the logic here is that this diagonal is just absolutely brutal, but it's not queen here because black will be able to play d5. I think we need something first. I think knight to g5 is played in the game, and the problem here is this square is threatened. So we're threatening checkmate. And of course, what happens if you play queen takes g5 is now we walk into this pattern again. Queen is here. And in fact, I've taken too long thinking about it. That still works. It's still checkmate. But of course, queen d5 is checkmate immediately. If you go to b3, black can put the pawn in the way. But yeah, so that is pretty unpleasant. And yeah, 7.1. What happens if you put queen to f6? Just to see, I'm guessing that queen d5 is absolutely, just using the lines here, yeah, queen d5, you'd have to put the queen in the way, and then you just lose your queen. So yeah, pretty nasty stuff. All right, the next game is mate with minor pieces. So Dr. Dave calls it in the book. I'm sorry if you can hear the washing machine going in the background. If it's too much of a racket, I will re-record, but hopefully it's okay. It's just slowing down the spin cycle as we speak. And so this one is no name against Johannes Zukertort. So 1862, and Zukertort is or was, I should say, a world championship challenger in the 1800s, but he never actually won it. But he was a very, very strong player, and he's black in this one and wins. So let's see how he gets on. e4, e5, bishop to c4, and knight to f6, knight to f3, knight takes e4, knight takes e5 and d5. So, okay, bishop to b3 and queen to g5. So that appears to be forking the knight and the pawn. I'm sorry, it looks as though black in this game actually gave up the knight, which seems odd. So castles, white gave up the knight, I should say. Queen takes knight and d3. So, okay, very strange, but whatever. Let's look for the finish. Bishop to d6. Now that's threatening checkmate, not there, because that would be obviously illegal. But here with the queen, excuse me, let go. Black, so threatening checkmate, g3 from white. That now that opens up two potential holes, and Zukertort jumps on that in this game with knight to g5. Okay, rook e1 from white, thinking that they have skewered stroke pinned the queen and the king. My mouse is being very strange. It's not doing what I'm asking it to do, but it doesn't quite work. Now, if you want to find the correct move here for Zukertort, feel free to press pause. Otherwise, I'll carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And in fact, it's these two holes that turn out to be crucial here. A knight to f3 check. So remember, black is already a piece up. And the problem here is if you play queen takes knight, well, now queen takes rook. And of course, if you just move the king, well, you can play queen takes, knight takes. And even if you do it slightly differently, let's say you played queen here. I'm guessing that just knight takes rook is okay. Wait a minute. Did that say mate in 1? Mate in 1? What am I missing? Oh, of course it is. I'm actually being really dumb, aren't I? Yeah, if you go there, there's a checkmate in 1 because the knight's guarding this square and the bishop's actually mate in 1. Good Lord, yeah. So for any new viewers, I do these live, so to speak. I just decide how many games I'm going to do on each video. And then I read the book and do it, as I say, without any preparation. So I just didn't spot that. But yeah, pretty nasty stuff. Okay. Let's go to our next game. We've got another minor mate. So, okay. That means minor pieces doing the checkmating. And we've got Hopkins against No Name, London, 1932. So here we go. E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, D4, E takes D4, knight takes D4, knight G to E7, knight to C3, G6, bishop to G5, bishop to G7, and knight to D5. Okay, this looks all in okay so far. Bishop takes. Now, is this not just a free piece for black? Well, clearly it is not, because the eval bar has gone to +6, and white can play queen takes, because after knight takes D4, black is going to get checkmated. If you want to press pause and just work out how it's forced mate, feel free. Otherwise, we carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And it's knight here. The only legal move is king across. And now that's checkmate. And the knight guards the two escape squares. Dr. Dave's analysis does continue. If instead of knight takes queen, you castle, there's various different lines that lead to checkmate. But a particular one will be knight to f6 check, king to h8. Knight to g4 is check. I discovered a check from the queen. If knight takes, then bishop here is check. King goes back and knight h6 is mate. And similar possibility if you play f6. Well, now bishop takes is check. King to g8, knight here is mate, because the knight also guards the escape squares. And if you play rook takes f6, queen takes is check, king here, and knight h6 is still mate. So lots and lots of different ways that that can be checkmate. Very, very nasty. Very good. Okay, 2 more games to go then, and they are both variations of what's called the legal mate. The original one, and then a similar one as well. So here we go. So we are in 1750, we are in Paris, and we have De Legal against Saint-Beury. We have a queen sacrifice coming up, a very famous game. e4, e5, knight f3, d6, bishop to c4, bishop to g4, knight to c3, okay, very level at the minute, g6. Now it says at a bit of an advantage to white, and after g6, De Legal played knight takes e5, and this pawn is basically a free pawn. Black can't well, black could play pawn takes knight, but then you have queen takes bishop, so you've won a pawn. But black plays bishop takes queen, and suddenly it's checkmate in 2 moves. If you want to press pause and work out what on earth and how it's checkmate in 2, feel free. Otherwise, we carry on in 3, 2, and 1. And bishop takes f7 is check. The bishop's supported by the knight, so is this square. So king to e7, and now knight d5 is checkmate. Unbelievable stuff. The knights are guarding these squares, the bishop is guarding these squares, and there's nowhere for the king to go. So checkmate in the middle of the board from 3 minor pieces. Ouchie. And our last game for this video, we're going to flip the board around and see a version of that where black does the checkmating. And we are in 1915 in a place called Eskilstuna for Eldin against Anderson. I don't actually know where that is. It might be Finland, maybe, but I don't know for sure. e4, e5, knight f3, knight f6. So Petrov's defense, all fine so far. And knight c6, the Stafford Gambit. Not completely sound, but very, very entertaining, very risky. Knight takes, pawn takes, and d3. Bishop to c5, bishop to g5. I think this is possibly going to be a slight mistake. Yeah, thought so, but I say slight mistake, pretty catastrophic one, because after knight takes e4, you have rather a lot of problems as white. In our game, bishop takes queen was played, and now we walked into a 2-move mate, a bit like the Legal one. Bishop takes, king has to go here, the knight's guarding that square, and now bishop to g4. So there's the check. The knight guards these squares, and the black bishop guards these ones. Checkmate. Ouch. So that brings us to the end of what, nearly 30 games over 3 videos of attacks against uncastled kings. In our next one, we're going to have 7 examples of attacks against castled kings. So hopefully when I get round to recording that, you'll be able to join us. And hopefully this is all quite entertaining and quite informative. So thanks for watching. See you next time.